The Mngomezulu party will take to the Moses Mabhida Stadium today to celebrate its first year. The political party was launched last year with expelled ANC member and former President Jacob Zuma at the helm. The newcomer then went to contest the May general elections, achieving surprising support and becoming the third largest party in the country. The party has 58 representatives in parliament. This year, the party went on a recruitment spree, seeing several members across the floor from various political homes. The party has been faced with its own challenges, including a legal battle on the legitimate founders of the party. Let's discuss the year that was for MK Party now with political analyst Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, who's actually at Moses Mabhida this morning. Good morning, Professor. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika. Good morning, Professor. All right, there seems to be a connectivity issue. Let's try this again. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, Ms. Chava, and good morning to your viewers.
Thank you so much. Firstly, how would you assess the MK Party's performance over the past year?
So far, I would say that the party has performed beyond the expectations. Because if you recall that the party was only formally launched on the 16th of December 2023, almost on the eve of an election. And in its first appearance, it surpassed the other political parties that did well in their first appearance. For instance, the EFF got 25 seats, and then, of course, the NFP got 6 seats when it started. And in this case, the Mngomezulu party managed to get 58 seats in its first appearance. So I would say that it did a fantastic job. And in KwaZulu-Natal, even being the highest ranking political party in terms of the official results, and even nationally, it also performed well. So I would say that as a new party, it did exceptionally well.
All right. And what would you say about the party's strategic moves in terms of its ability to mobilize support and build a strong organizational structure?
The party has tried its level best to position itself as an alternative. That is exactly the reason why it is currently the official opposition in the National Assembly. And of course, even in KwaZulu-Natal, where it got the majority of seats, because of the multi-party coalition, which is wrongly referred to as the government of national unity at a national level and government of provincial unity in the case of KwaZulu-Natal, but it still commands more support than any other political party. Then, of course, there have been other issues within the party, and this is to be expected because any new political party is bound to experience some challenges, particularly because there are people who will be joining a new party with ill intentions. We saw this with the NFP, we saw this with the EFF, and then we are seeing the same with the MK party. So given that context, therefore, I would say that the MK party is not immune to those challenges that erupt from inside simply because some of the people joined it with ill intentions. That is about to then determine the future of the party, where the leadership will be tested. If they handle the situation well, they have a bright future. But if they fail, obviously then the party might start going down in the same manner that COPE did when it got 30 seats in 2009, and then in 2014 only managed 3 seats. So basically, these are some of the lessons that the MK party needs to draw from.
And Professor, do you think that Zuma's leadership style is helping to grow the MK party's support base and presenting the party as a credible, sustainable force in South African politics?
Ms. Chaba, you are asking a very pertinent question because, truth be told, anyone who knows former President Zuma will definitely understand that he's a crowd puller and is one of the people who are known throughout the country, which is why some political parties made a big mistake when they assumed that the former President Zuma only enjoys support in KwaZulu-Natal. And of course, when some of us were warning them, they said it was because we were too close to the former president, which was not necessarily true. We're just looking at the facts on the table. He's a crowd puller. And then, of course, for as long as he's around, the MK party will definitely do well. But the question becomes, what then happens when he steps aside? Will the party still continue to be strong? That is a $1 million question, because we saw the same thing happening when Gamakwaza Msebi formed the National Freedom Party and did exceptionally well. But when she was incapacitated, everybody in the party wanted to be a leader. No one wanted to be led. I think the MK party then should draw lessons from that and try not to repeat the same mistake, because if the party is built around one individual, that is political suicide, because when that individual is no longer there, there will be no anchor to pull the party together. I think the MK party then will have to draw lessons from that experience and do things slightly differently.
Now, we've seen a number of influential individuals leaving their political parties to join the MK party. So what strategies in place would you say are working for the party to attract new members and voters?
My view is that the decision of the interim structure of the MK party to attract people from other political parties was a good one, simply because many of those who are supporters and leaders of the party don't have government experience. Some of them don't even have party experience. Now, if you bring in people with the requisite skills and knowledge in terms of party management, and then, of course, in terms of a government experience, you are then capacitating the party so that those who don't have those skills can learn from their colleagues who are coming from other political parties. So I think it's a move in the right direction, simply because if you form a party, you cannot grow that party if it is based in one province. That's exactly what the MK party has been doing. It has been spreading its horizons. You recall that it was not launched in KwaZulu-Natal, but in Soweto. When it launched its manifesto, it wasn't done in KwaZulu-Natal, but it was done in Orlando. And then when it started these celebrations, the celebration started in Eguruleni, which debunks the myth that the MK party is a KwaZulu-Natal party, because it has footprints throughout the country. So I think that's a move in the right direction. If they can continue doing things this way, even when they call their conference and elect the leadership, they must make sure that the leadership is spread throughout the country, so that at least people will then be persuaded to move away from this wrong mentality that the MK party is only based in KwaZulu-Natal.
Let's talk about Floyd Shivambu now. Has he been able to establish himself as a key leader within the party, or is he still finding his feet?
It may be too early to tell, but truth be told, Floyd Shivambu is one of South Africa's best minds. He's brilliant naturally, and then he's brilliant academically, and politically is well glued up. So with him joining the party, I think he will be an asset to the MK party, provided, of course, that they welcome him with both hands. As things stand at the moment, he has received a resounding welcome from the leadership of the party, but then, of course, he still has to endear himself to the local members, or at least to the grassroots structures of the party, so that at least he's accepted by all of them. The position that he has been given is a very strategic position, because it will allow him to crisscross the country and make sure that he projects himself as someone who is going to be an asset to the MK party. So I would say that thus far, he has been welcomed, but then not to the extent that some of us would have expected him to be welcomed, given that he's a seasoned politician, and then everybody should be welcoming him, and then afford him an opportunity to offer what he's able to offer to the party, and then see if he can grow the party going forward.
All right. What do you think the MK party's leadership must do at this point in terms of building alliances and articulating a compelling vision for South Africa's future?
Yeah, that is a very important question, because there is no political party that can go it alone and then hope to do well. Obviously, the MK party will have to forge relations with like-minded political parties. One thing I would advise the party not to do is to bring people on board for the sake of increasing the numbers. It's good for the party to attract people who are going to assist it going forward. Because, Masichaba, we must remember that there are people who are hell-bent to see the MK party fail. So then some of them will be planting their people in the MK party with the sole intention to derail it from its agenda. So what the party then needs to do is to identify those it can count on when it attracts other people, when it attracts other stakeholders, when it attracts other like-minded political parties. It must make sure that it doesn't just bring in people for the sake of numbers, but it brings in people who are going to assist the party in pushing its agenda. I had expected, for instance, that the EFF would open its arms and work with the MK party, given that if you look at what they stand for, there is a lot in common. But unfortunately, the leader of the EFF, who has just been re-elected, seems to be singing a different tune. Of course, to his own peril, because if you listened to his 3 hours, 30-minute speech, and then if you watched him addressing the media and basically vilifying Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, that doesn't augur well for the EFF, and it doesn't augur well for him as an individual. Ideally, I would have expected him to find common ground with the MK party, because there is a lot that brings them together. They would have worked well as like-minded political parties, but you need someone with political maturity to do that. If you use emotions, chances are you are going to follow emotions and, of course, end up killing your own political party. So the MK party, therefore, is in a better position to identify like-minded political parties and bring them together so that come 2029, they will be in a better position to work with those individuals. Because in KwaZulu-Natal, the MK party was supposed to lead the province. But because there was already an agreement at a national level, then that possibility was then taken over by events, because the DA, the ANC, and other parties decided to come together, and they formed something they called GNU, which is actually not a GNU, but a multi-party coalition. So then the MK party then must draw lessons from that. Come 2026, they must then make sure that whatever is due to them is given to them, not to have a repeat of what happened after the May 29 general election.
In conclusion, Professor, what message do you think the MK party needs to convey to the South African public in order to build trust and credibility?
Yeah, there is already noise starting on the background. But if I got your question correctly, basically the message that the leadership of the party, and in this case, former President Jacob Zuma, must tell his people to calm down. Because in all probability, there are going to be people who are going to provoke the MK party, try to frustrate it, but he must advise them to calm down, because you cannot meet fire with fire. When people have emotions high, then you must calm down, then you will be able to reason. When you act constructively. I think that is the main message that the leader of the party must give to his people, and then, of course, tell them to consolidate their support so that come 2026, then the party can do fairly well in the local government election as a build up to the 2029 general election. So I think those two messages should suffice.
Thank you so much for your time, Professor.